Okay, welcome back to another episode of Run Mountain Peaks. Today we're going to talk about the Kilkenny Ridge Race, which just happened yesterday. So we're going to go through the live results of the 50 mile, 25 mile, and 25K race there. We're going to talk about UTMB, one of the biggest ultra mountain races in the world. That happened last weekend. So we'll talk about what happened there. And then today I am at the Beaver Brook trailhead. Just went up Mount Moosilauke, did a little uphill push, and going to talk about kind of working on your weaknesses and try not to avoid them. I think uphill running is one of my weaker running areas, so really trying to get better and face my demons on that. And honestly, quick story to start the podcast. I was going up Beaver Brook. So the CR on Strava was 54 minutes and something, and I got 54 something. So it's going to be super close. I don't know what the segment says, so we'll look at that. But as I'm going up, past a handful of people, and usually on the trails, I try to be pretty good. Like as soon as I see someone, I'll be like, hey, or, hi there, morning, let them know before I'm kind of like in that vicinity where you're too close and you scare them. And I basically went up the Beaver Brook trail, kind of where it starts to flatten out a little bit. And this lady has like yellow Beats or some sort of like fully ear enclosing headphones. And so I'm running up and I'm like, oh, this may be problematic here. So I'm like, hey, hello, hey. And I'm like, oh man, this ain't gonna work. So I get closer and I need to like pass her. Like it's kind of like a tight trail, so it's couldn't like I go around. And obviously I'm trying to go pretty fast. So I'm like, hey. And eventually I just literally as loud as I can go, hey. And as soon as I did that, she goes, in New York. Like she's singing along to the song. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I had to tap her. I had to do it. I'm like, I'm gonna scare the crap out of this lady. So I tapped her bag, and honestly, even the tap at first, because I was kind of like gentle, it didn't do anything. So I kind of took her bag and kind of shook her. She goes, ah, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I gotta go. I'm so sorry. And luckily she was a good sport about it, and she kind of like laughed it off. She was like, oh, funny moment, like, no, it's okay, like funny moment, good memory or something like that. And I kind of like took off, like I was like, I'm sorry, I don't usually do that. But yeah, that's what happened on trail today. I mean, I feel bad, but if you're gonna wear noise canceling headphones, if you're running into stuff, I don't know, I'm not usually bombing trails like that, but I had to get by, so I had to do what I had to do. So that was kind of like a funny encounter, good encounter. And I was like, I'll chat with you on the way back. Just, say hi or whatever. And then I never saw her again. So, but that happened as I was going up Moose today. So I was like, oh my gosh. So scare the crap out of some lady singing. But that was kind of a funny memory. All right. So first topic is the Kilkenny Ridge Race. If you don't know, the Kilkenny Ridge Race is one of the White Mountain endurance races hosted by Air Vipa in the White Mountains. And I think it was one of the first races that got permitted, or one of the first ultra marathon races that got permitted in the Whites. I think like the Kilkenny Ridge Race and the the White Lake Ultras were the first couple races. And now there's a bunch of them. But anyway, I think the first time they ran it was 2018. So this would be 18, 19, 20, like 7 or 8 years of running it. Last year they added on the 25K, which is cool, like another shorter distance race. And they just hosted that yesterday. And I mean, this weekend has been just like the perfect running conditions. I mean, cool. It's been super dry up in the mountains. Like yesterday morning was like maybe the 40s, like not humid, dry trails. I mean, just beautiful. So it was a good weekend to get out and race there. And yeah, so we're just gonna we'll kind of run through some of the results. So I guess the course of the Kilkenny Ridge Race, initially it was just the 25 mile and the 50 mile. And the 25 mile was basically a one-way of the Kilkenny Ridge, and then the 50 mile was an out and back. So the one-way 25 mile starts at the Jefferson Inn, which is like kind of at the Wambeck trailhead. So Wambeck is one of the 4Ks in New Hampshire. And you basically go up towards Wambeck, and then you traverse over the Weeks, and eventually you make your way to Cabot, Mount Cabot, which is the other 4K that you do on this route. And then you descend into South Pond. I think it ends in Stark, New Hampshire at at the campground there on I think it's South Pond. Yeah, on the pond. There's like a big. The finish line is right on the beach. It's a cool little spot. And then the 50 mile is you basically go out and back. So you start at the pond, you go up Cabot, over to Wambeck, down to Jefferson, and then back to the start. That's the 50 mile. The 25K is kind of a different route. It starts pretty much it's part of the same route. You go up to Cabot, but then you circle back to where you started. So it's kind of like you get a piece of the trail that the 25 and the 50 milers go on, and then you circle back. So 25K, and that's obviously a shorter race. So yeah, we'll start at let's start the 50 mile. So I actually ran the 50 mile last year, so I know the course pretty well, and I think the course is obviously it's White Mountains, it's pretty gnarly, but it's definitely pretty runnable. There's a lot of like runnable grades. Hi there, how's it going? Um, yeah, so the course is gnarly. There's lots of, it's the White Mountains. It's pretty rocky, rooty, but it is pretty runnable actually. So there's a lot of like 10 to 15% grades there, as opposed to like straight up climbs. So it is a pretty runnable trail. The climbs aren't huge. Like the climb up to Cabot and the climb coming back up to Wambeck is, close to 3,000 feet. So those are big climbs, but all the other ones is kind of like undulating up and down, runnable. There's a handful of smooth miles in there where it's not super technical, so you can kind of move, but it is definitely an out there trail. A lot of people who are hiking the 4Ks will just kind of do out and backs or like little loops to Cabot and then out and backs to Wambeck. And then the section in between there is very seldom hiked. So if you're not doing it on like a race weekend, then you're probably not going to see anybody. Maybe one or two people, and you're kind of like, hey, what are you doing out here, bub? So yeah, it's pretty remote. So I think like it's maybe not the most technical trail, but I think the remoteness makes it a difficult trail. And then the one thing about it is this past year specifically, the winter was pretty hard, pretty windy, and there were tons of blowdowns everywhere. And that section that doesn't get traveled a lot, tons of blowdowns, and it's all like kind of like knee-high fern vegetation. And so you can't really see your footing a lot, which I think they try to do some trail maintenance before the actual races. But like if you go in there in the summer, it's kind of a nightmare to go, and that's why not a lot of people go back there. But yeah, this year specifically, I think there were a lot of blowdowns. People who've been out there in the last month said there are a ton of blowdowns on that trail. So that the blowdowns in itself would, like all the conditions this week were perfect, but if there were tons of blowdowns, that is definitely going to slow it up. All right, so let's go through the course records for the three races first. So for the 50 mile, the course record holder from 2019, Peter Howe, was 10 hours, 58 minutes, and 45 seconds. So just snuck under the 11-hour mark. Super fast. I think the stats for the 50-mile race, it's about 46 miles, so it's a little under 50, and it's like 16,000 feet of climbing in descent. And then the 50-mile female course record is Brianna Russell. She ran that in 2022. I think she's done this race a couple times. She ran it in 13 hours, 9 minutes, 44 seconds. For the 25 miles, so for the one-way from Jefferson to South Pond, the male course record is Ben Thompson in 2019. He ran it 4 hours, 37 minutes and 18 seconds. And then the female record time is 5 hours, 47 minutes, 16 seconds, Hillary McCloy in 2023. Lastly, the 25K, which was the new race last year. So you win that race last year, you get the course record immediately. Max Perezek, who was in the 50-mile race this year, he ran it in 2 hours and 43 minutes, 49 seconds. And then the female winner and course record holder was Haley Heinrich. She ran it in 2 hours, 54 minutes, and 29 seconds. So those are kind of the bars for each of the races. Yeah, so let's just go through each of the 50-mile results. So the winner of the 50-mile race was Sam Locke. He ran it in 13 hours and 1 minute. Sam actually ran the race last year with me, so I chatted with him about it. And I think he ran about the same time as last year. Super strong time. So he ended up the winner there. Second place was Nicholas Rostorowski. Rostrowski. He came in 13:11, so he was only 10 minutes behind. So that's a close race. I wonder if they knew how close they were to each other, if they were doing some back and forth. And then third place was Max Perezek. He I think he did a lot of the shorter races, and I think he was the king of the whites, the White Mountain Cup winner last year. He was third place, and he came in 13 hours and 34 minutes. So that was kind of the top three. So 3 people within 30 minutes of each other. Super tight race, good race. And then for the women's race, Heidi Allen was the winner in 13 hours and 57 minutes. That is a super strong time. And yeah, so she was less than an hour behind Sam, who ended up winning it. So that's, I mean, they were all in the mix there. A lot of people finished between 13 and 14 hours. I think the top 5 all finished within an hour of each other. The second place female was Allison Sullivan, 17 hours and 3 minutes. And then the third place female was Elizabeth Fay. She ran it in 17 hours and 54 minutes. So congrats to all those people. Those were the podium for the 50-mile men's and women's. All right, so that was the podium for the men and females for the 50-mile. So good race there, lots of tight times. So congrats to all of those people. And let's get into the 25-miler results. So the 25-miler, the first place male was Shane Skiff in 4 hours, 56 minutes, 48 seconds. And then second place was a minute behind, 15 seconds behind him, Brian Brennan. He ran it in 4 hours, 57 minutes and 6 seconds. So super tight race there for 1 and 2. So Shane Skiff was the winner, Brian in second, and then third place to round out the podium was Peter Benito. He ran it in 5 hours, 9 minutes. So those are fast times. And another super tight race. For the females, the winner in the 25-mile was Emily Fisk. She ran it in 6 hours, 42 minutes, 41 seconds. Second place female was Caitlin Murphy in 6 hours, 56 minutes. And then the third place female was Annetta Stoker. She ran it in 7 hours and 26 minutes. Strong times. So the 25-mile, it looks like there was 46 finishers and then a few people DNS. So about a little under 50 people in that race. So that was the one way. And then to wrap it up for the 25K, the winner was Dawson Adams. He ran it in 2 hours and 38 minutes, and that is a new course record. So congrats to him. 2 hours, 38 minutes, 0 seconds, 0.00 seconds. Is that a mistake? Oh, that maybe they entered that in. There's a couple of 000s. But congrats to him. He won it. Sam Galati, he ran it 4.5 minutes after that. He came in at 2:42.19, and then third place Thomas Skipper, 2:42.20. So there was a photo finish for second and third place. Congrats to those guys. And the first female, so the females race, Haley Heinrich, she wins again back to back. She runs it in 2:56.50. With second place coming in behind her at Catherine Lavolsky. She ran it in 3 hours, 26 minutes, 56 seconds. And then Kayla Colby, she ran it in 3 hours and 45 minutes. So that is the podium in the 25K. Congrats to all those guys. Haley with a back-to-back win. She's a super strong runner, does a lot of races around here. And I believe she was the Queen of the Whites White Mountain Endurance Cup winner last year. So she's a super strong runner. I think she's on the Air Vipa team as well. So that was the 25K. There were 80 finishers and maybe like a dozen or so DNSs there. So that's a big race. I mean, these races are growing extremely fast. All these races that the White Mountains Endurance and Air Vipa has took over in the last couple of years had just been growing, getting more popular. So that's super cool, getting more people out in the trail scene. And so we mentioned about the White Mountain Endurance Cup. Basically, the White Mountain Endurance Cup, there are 4 races. So it is the Chicora Mountain Race, the Jigger Johnson, I think it's like 25K, the Baldface Scramble, and then the Kilkenny Ridge Race, 25K. And so if you run all 4 of those races, or even like less, if you run 3 or 2, basically your ranking in those races, you add all of them up cumulatively, and then whoever has the best ranking, so the most points. So I guess I think it's by like the Strava ranking or the Ultra Sign Up rank. Basically, you add up all the points, and whoever's done the most races and has the most points is the king and queen of the Whites, the White Mountain Endurance Cup. So I believe these aren't, the results aren't up to par, but I think Sam Galati won this year. He came in second in the 25K, and I think he was 1 or 2 in the I think Carter Tracy was number 1 in the leaderboard on Ultra Sign Up, and then Sam Galati was right behind him. I don't see Carter on this list, so he probably didn't do the race. So Sam Galati is the king of the Whites this year. Congratulations. And then I believe Haley Heinrich, I think she did maybe, this is only her 3rd race out of the 4, but I think she may win it. Don't quote me on that. We got to check the final Ultra Sign Up rankings when it comes out, but she may have won back-to-back on this race, winning, and back-to-back Queen of the Whites. So congratulations to her. So that is the Kilkenny Ridge Race results. That's kind of like one of the last big races, one of the last ultra races in the Whites for the season. The next big one, which I guess is last man standing, so it's a little bit different, but Bubba's in October is kind of like the next big thing. And then, by that time, the trails are going to be getting cold, getting frozen, and kind of into shoulder season. So this is kind of the last month or so here for running good times, good efforts. Another big thing that's going on right now is the White Mountain Throwdown, so the boot spur segment. We'll do like a recap of that after the end of September, but that's another kind of race going on here. So there's still time to get some good efforts in, but the season is dwindling. So if you still have something in the tank, get out there and see what you got. All right. So the next topic, we'll just cover this one quickly, but the next topic, we're just going to cover this quickly, but UTMB. So obviously, a lot of people know UTMB. For me, it's probably one of the goal races eventually to get into UTMB and run that. I mean, just one of the gnarliest mountain 100-milers in the country, super big. Obviously all the elite and sponsored athletes go out and run that. The winner this year so there were obviously the men and females races. Something Evans. God, this is embarrassing. Tom Evans. Oh my God. Yeah, Tom Evans. Keep it in. All right. So the winner at UTMB, if you're still listening, I apologize for that minute. Sometimes my brain just takes a little bit to kick in. The winner was Tom Evans. So last year, Tom Evans, I think 2 years ago, he won Western States with a super good performance. Last year, he goes out for UTMB and doesn't have a good race, blows up, DNFs. He comes back this year, and I think one of the quotes that I was reading was he just wanted to kind of enjoy the first half of the race, take it easy, let other people run their race, and then obviously in the second half bring it home. So Tom Evans went on to win this year, so kind of like a comeback race for him. He ran it in the low 19s. I don't know actually if that's a course record or not, but he ended up winning. He ended up winning by like 30 or 45 minutes. So dude is super strong, obviously super fit, and he comes back and obviously with a chip on his shoulder, something proved, and he gets out there and wins it. So that was kind of the UTMB. And then for the winner, Ruth Croft took home the women's time. I think she was in the 21 something. I guess we got it pulled up here. So let's just go to the results. Where did I get the results here? Ooh, look at this quote. I think it's proof that you can fail. You can just learn from your mistakes, come back. That's what Tom Evans said. Yeah, so Tom Evans came in first, 1918, and then Ben Demon came in 1951. In second, Josh Wade came at 20:05, so 2 people sub 20 there. That was the top 3. And then the women's race. Let's see. The women's race. So Ruth Croft, she came in 22:56. So I was mistaken there. Camelia Brewis came in second in 23:28. So honestly, Ruth Croft and Tom Evans were about a half hour ahead in each of the races, which is just, I mean, good races. I mean, super strong, not a super photo finish. And then Katarina Hartmuth, she came in 24 hours and 16 minutes. That rounds with the top three. I think the other thing I want to talk about for UTMB was Courtney Dauwalter comes in 10th at 25:50. Obviously, Courtney is the GOAT of ultra running, the overall GOAT in ultra running. Everyone knows Courtney. She's just been for the last 5 or 10 years. I mean, does she even lose races? Just been on fire. But I think obviously she was almost 3 hours behind the first place person. So I think this is one thing that I think in ultra races a lot of times, like, the ultras are getting super fast and people are just, they're going for it from the gun. You know, obviously you got the fueling, you got all these kind of newer strategies that people are using, and like some people just have these crazy times. But I love to see like Courtney Dauwalter, for sure. If she's falling back, having a rough day, she could just DNF and call it, there was something was not working. But she sticks with it, comes in 10th, and finishes over like a DNF. I feel like, you know, DNFing, you got to DNF. You don't want to get hurt, right? Like, or if something's seriously wrong. But if there's something lingering, you're just not having your best day and you just like tossing the towel. I don't know. I love it when people grit it out, even if it's not their best day. I think another example of this was Western States, Adam Peterman, who obviously one of the favorites to win it, super strong runner. He goes out and I think he runs for 70 miles. I don't know if he was injured or bonked. He walks the last 30 miles, comes in like, 50th or what, I don't know what place he came in, but basically is like, this is ultra running, like I am mortal, like, and he had every reason. I mean, he's a pro runner. He had every reason to, wasn't my day, something was wrong, but he goes out there in the spirit of a 100-mile race and grits it out. I mean, that is just, I like it. It's inspiring. I think that's how you got to do these efforts, obviously, as long as you're not super injured or, gonna do prolonged damage to your body. Gut it out, get some finishes, But that's just my 2 cents. Yeah, so that is UTMB. That's the Kilkenny Ridge Race. Like I said, we're gonna do the throwdown results next week. I think after September wraps up. I think also obviously starting this later in the year, but I am going to do a breakdown of all the races. I guess the winter's kind of long up here. It's a long winter, but so we can just break down all the races eventually. Kind of that went down on the whites and go through kind of the results and talk about some of the big stories from those races. So stay tuned to the kind of coming episodes. We'll do the Bald Face Scramble, we'll do the Jigger Johnson trail races, we'll do Chicora, White Lakes Ultra, Kimsett Cliff, any of the races up here. We'll talk about them, maybe go through some of the biggest FKTs too that happened this year. I know we talked a little bit about the White Mountains 100 last week. We mentioned the Direttissima going down, so those men's and women's Direttissima went down this year, so that's super cool. Yeah. So, stick tuned for those episodes. And then, the last thing I want to talk about was just working on your weaknesses. So, like I said, today I did an uphill go for the Beaver Brook trail up Moosilaukke. I think it was like 3.3 miles with maybe about 3,000 or a little over 3,000 feet of climbing. The first mile, I think it's like 1,700 feet of climbing. If you've done the Beaver Brook Trail, it is gnarly steep. It's like super rocky, a ton of the steps just going vertical. So that was a segment I ran today. I think it went fairly well. Again, I don't know exactly. I think the CR on Strava was 54 something. And I ran 54 something, so I don't know. I'm either 1 or 2 on that board, so I think that was I would call it a successful run for me. So I was happy with the time, given kind of where I was at. But the first mile of that run, it's like straight up. So it's kind of like, obviously you want to start out strong. You don't want to start out too fast, but like you're going to be working. It's steep. So run the first quarter mile or whatever, and then it's just power hiking like a 30% grade for a while up that. So I think I started out pretty good. I started out not super conservative, but I figured I started out steady. Obviously, kind of the top of the climb was getting a little bit tired, but once you get that first mile done, I think I did it in 20 minutes. After that, it kind of starts to slowly, the incline goes down. So it's kind of like, I guess you kind of maintain the same overall pace. Like obviously you're starting to slow a little bit. Well, ideally I wouldn't have slowed at all, but I think I slowed a little bit. But as it was kind of mellowing out, I felt like I would keep it going. And then at some point, it got to a grade where like you should definitely be running still. So I was able to keep a running pace on that. So I was pretty excited about that. Or and then from there, it's kind of just like undulating. Obviously, the whites are super technical. There's a little bit of ups and down. It flattens out. There are a few sections where you can open it up. So I did fairly well at keeping moving, but I think I would have liked to run that a little bit faster at the top. And then at the end, I was trying to keep it together. I touched the sign at like 55, like pretty much 55:00. But I think the segment's a little bit shorter like before the summit and then a little bit down the trail. So I'm somewhere in like the higher 54s. But yeah, that was a good push. That was a good effort at the end. I think I did a pretty good job of mentally keeping it together. I think I mentioned, yeah, this summer I had a little bit of setback this summer. I rolled my ankle really good, and it's kind of been bothering me for a little bit. So I didn't really have the summer that I planned to. So I really been focusing on uphill stuff because the downhill is really like the impact. So I'm just trying to, obviously I didn't bomb any segments this year. I didn't do any like full races. I wanted to try to sneak one thing in September, but with the ankle, it just wasn't coming together. And instead of, rather being trying to be safe rather than sorry, I pretty much this summer decided like, all right, I could just complain or just be upset about this injury because it happened at a bad time. I was feeling really fit this summer in June. I did a Lodge to Dodge FKT that went well, and I was just feeling really fit and ready to get after a few things this year, and I think that got shut down pretty quickly, which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, I think a shift in mindset. Obviously, it took a little bit. I was being a little bit of a pouty for a while, but the shift in mindset was like, all right, well, I've been doing my Stairmaster workouts. I can still do a couple runs during the week and then cross train everything else. So I've still been training fairly decent, but I just haven't been running a lot of miles. And I've been able to kind of maintain my fitness decently. And I figured, you know what, if I just have to race uphill stuff like this fall, then so be it. Like I have some long distance efforts I want to get to eventually, and I will. But I think like as far as like progress, like I want to get stronger. I want to get fitter over the years, and I'm still young and I have lots of years in front of me. So instead of trying to like push it or try to do something where I'm not fully ready, where I could risk the ankle even more, I figure let's get better at your weakness. I mean, my weakest thing is definitely like shorter uphill stuff. Like I just need to get stronger and fitter. I think I'm strong aerobically, but yeah, when it hurts and you gotta be strong with the lactate building up, I think that's my weakest spot. So yeah, I think working on that was like something like, all right, I'll do that this summer. So I'm starting to get a little bit, the ankle's feeling a little bit better, not like, obviously 100%, but feeling better. So I think the plan is to race a few uphill segments this year. This one went pretty good, like either first or second on a pretty good segment, like with I think it had like 450 goes, super steep. So got to be happy with that, where kind of like my training volume has been lower this year, like over on miles. And then, yeah, we just build from here. Like, I think just keeping a positive mindset. I feel like every injury I've had a good amount of injuries, like as I've gotten into running, and every injury sets you back less than it feels like in the moment. So I think that's one thing I've been trying to be aware of. And then also, maybe it's just a sign like, hey, dude, you got to work on that uphill strength and speed, because ultimately that is like, speed is king. Speed is king. In the mountains, pure strength is king. So yeah, maybe it was a sign like, hey, just get better at this. And so yeah, like really trying to focus on your weaknesses, take the demons head on. I think for a lot of us, I feel like whatever you're kind of like worst at, you probably try to avoid and try to not do. But I think, yeah, trying to take those things head on and get fitter, even though that is the most painful for me. That's what I've been trying to do this fall. So gonna do a few more of kind of like just racing segments, shorter stuff. I wanted, maybe next weekend I'll do the White Mountains Throwdown. I do have a wedding, but I could potentially squeak it in. I've been really busy this I had three weddings in September, so I've been like super busy, but was able to get out today. Felt pretty good. Yeah, and we'll see what the rest of the fall is like. And yeah, it's pretty much all I got. So, the last thing too, motivational quote. Yeah, if you made it this far, thanks for listening. I'm sorry for this another 30-second pause. This is just my brain. Like, this is just horrible podcasting. But I'm just gonna go to a text thread with one of my buddies. We'll just send like a picture of us on the Stairmaster, with some sort of like motivational thing. So let me just go to the last thing that he sent me. Well, hopefully this is from John Bory, one of the biggest fan, maybe the biggest fan and commenter of the Run Mountain Peaks podcast. Shout out to Bory. Maybe we should have John Bory on the podcast at some point. But all right, let's see what we got. Okay, here we go. Perfect. He sends a picture. He's like a gym rat, but he sends a picture. There's little midweek motivation. I haven't read the whole text right now, so this is getting it live. Little midweek motivation. One bad chapter doesn't define the book. You just stayed on it too long. Flip the blank page and start the next one. Boom. All right, we'll read that a little bit one more time. One bad chapter doesn't define the book. You just stayed on the page too long. Flip the page, start the next one. Yeah, so if you're facing adversity, you're not where you want to be, flip the page, start it over. Nice. Shout out Bory for that quote. That's some motivation. If you're feeling stale, if you're feeling down, flip the page, rewrite it. Don't give up on your goals quite yet in the season. Still got 3 months. I mean, 3 months you can make in whatever you're doing, running, if you're an artist, whatever you're doing. 3 months is so much progress. So don't ship it in at the end of the year because the year didn't go your way. You got to keep focused. Every week getting better, every month getting better, every year getting better. That's it. You keep getting better forever. I mean, I don't know. I think I said this last podcast. Actually, I tried to do this in Excel the other day. I don't know if it works because the numbers get smaller, but like 1% better if they say like if you compound interest, if you make like 1% on your money each day, you get like $1 billion in like a year or something. I was like, all right, that's kind of a funny joke. If I just got 1% better at running every like month or whatever, maybe my marathon would be like 30 minutes or something like crazy, like compound. It would be kind of like a haha joke. And I think I punched it into Excel. And I think if I started, I don't know what the marathon was, but like if I started at like 4 hours or something, I was like, if you get 1% better every day, I think I did it for 70 years and it was like 2 hours. I was like, oh, which is the world record marathon, honestly. But I was like, oh, maybe it's because the number's getting smaller. 1% is actually not, it doesn't like grow. It's like the reverse of compound interest. But either way, if you're getting 1% better every day, every week, every month, and you just keep getting better, you're going to be really good. That's the quote. But all right, that was it. That was episode 2. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like the video. I uploaded this to Spotify and Apple Podcast. So if you want to just get it on one of those, it's on there. Run Mountain Peaks. No, I think actually a couple of you on Spotify. No rankings, no results. I mean, you guys are the OG army. So appreciate it. We got a special guest. No, it's okay. I know. But all right, thanks for watching.
Ooh,
we'll
like
see.
And subscribe.
Whoa, like and subscribe. Listen to the lady. Yeah, no, appreciate you watching. See you next time. Peace.